And again, you see that in print in a magazine, and you get to be a part of something that actually dictates styling that people outside of the magazine world will look at and appreciate and get ideas from and actually use in their own homes.
Welcome to the On the Wall podcast, where we engage in conversations with artists, designers, enthusiasts, and visionaries who shape the world of interiors. Today's guest is freelance stylist Nonci Nyoni. If you enjoy these conversations, please subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review, and share this podcast with a friend. Welcome to the On the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Dahman. I'm doing this one solo today. Winnie Williams, who's been my co-host on these video podcasts, she is now somewhere in Canada. So she's spending like a week and a half or so in Canada. So it's just going to be me today. And I'm going to be joined a little bit later by Nonci Nyoni. And she is a stylist who styles all sorts of scenes and things for different magazines, home interiors magazines. And I'm really looking forward to just picking her brain and finding out everything that's involved and everything that goes into creating these scenes and how it's really all done. Because we look at these magazines and we see these finished projects and they all look so beautifully put together. And I just want to, really find out how does it get all put together? What's the planning like? What's the sourcing like? All that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be talking to her in just a few moments. But just at the top of the podcast, I just want to say, make sure that you're following us, that we are now on YouTube. So if you're listening on the audio podcast and you want to tune in and see us talking and see the visuals and all that kind of stuff, you can visit us on YouTube at youtube.com/@onthewall_podcast. While you're there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you like the episode, leave your comments, leave a little like, all that kind of stuff. And please, if you're listening just on Apple Podcasts or somewhere else, make sure you give us a rating and leave your comments, because that'll help boost us up in the algorithm. We're always fighting the algorithms these days. And also we just launched our social media channels. So you can visit us on Instagram at instagram.com/@ on the wall podcast _official. So at on the wall podcast _official on Instagram. But without any further ado, let's see if my guest is here. Nonci.
Hi, hello.
Thank you for waking up so early and joining me bright and early in Australia.
Absolute pleasure.
So just for our listening, viewing audience, can you just kind of give a brief introduction to yourself?
Sure. So my name is Nonci. I am a stylist based in Sydney, Australia. I'm freelance stylist. I've been working here. There we go. I've been working in Sydney within the interiors field for around 8 to 9-ish years. So I started off I did a correspondence course in interior design. I moved to London. I worked with an interior designer there for a year. And then I started working with a magazine in their styling department for a year, and moved back to Australia and wanted to get back into that field. So basically hopped right in, started assisting on interior design projects. And I've been doing that ever since for about almost 8 years now, and also then actually styling projects myself. Yeah.
Now, I was doing a little bit of research, and so you have your own art page?
Yes, yeah. I have visual artists as well. So I do paint in my spare time when I can actually find some spare time. But that is another passion of mine.
Okay. So did you grow up in Australia?
No. So I was born and raised in Zimbabwe. So I moved to Australia when I was 18 for university, did a whole bunch of other university courses, psychology, behavioral science, that kind of thing. And then just decided that I wanted to do something more creative and more hands-on. And that's when I moved into the interior design field, moved to the UK and started that journey.
Oh, okay. So you grew up in Zimbabwe. What's it like growing up in Zimbabwe? Do you go back and visit? Do you have family there?
Yeah, I do have family there. So I do go back and visit every few years, or we meet up in another country if we can.
That's cool.
Yeah. So growing up in Zim we call it Zim. It was amazing. It was a really good life. I went to, Catholic school, private school, middle class income family, and grew up in the city in
Hmm.
Harare, so all like in the urban area. But my granddad lives in the rural area, so we have that, and lots of family actually live in the rural areas, like extended family. So you have that connection between the urban and the rural. We grew up, we had a good life. It was, fun at school, and I wasn't so much
Yeah.
the sporty kid. I was still more of the quiet, creative kid. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, just grew up and always had a passion for like the arts and craft kind of things, craft kind of work.
Okay.
And I guess that just stayed with me. Then you decide, okay, I have to go to university. I have to get a proper job. And so that's what come to Australia, or most people like will go somewhere to pursue a career.
Hmm.
And psychology was my major.
So why? Well, first, before you did that, why Australia?
On the Wall is brought to you by Milton & King, your trusted partner for luxury crafted wall coverings. Milton & King's trade program is designed to make your creative process seamless, offering exclusive trade-only benefits such as complimentary samples, early access to new collections, and professional pricing structured to enhance your business success. To assist with your projects, you'll have the flexibility to create your own custom swatchbook, tailored specifically to your design needs. With dedicated customer support every step of the way, our trade program is here to elevate your design vision and simplify your journey from inspiration to installation. Ready to join a partner who understands your craft? Visit miltonandking.com to apply for your trade account today. Milton & King, your vision, our craftsmanship.
If you're living in Zim, a lot of, I think the main, I guess, degrees that you would do is like to do with agriculture or medicine. That's what at the time Zimbabwe was really well known for. If
Hmm.
you wanted to pursue postgraduate or graduate studies, and so a lot of people, if you have the opportunity, you would pick a country basically that offers a course that you're going to be able to get into. So when I had finished high school, people would be moving maybe to the States or to the UK, and Australia was cheaper than all of those at the time.
Okay.
So it was
So was it
Australian
just a financial decision where you're just
financial
like, I'm going
decision.
with the?
Yeah, Australia or New Zealand, somewhere around like this side of the world, was just financially
Okay.
more, easier for us to just swap over into. And so I found a psychology degree, got into a couple of universities here, picked one, and that's what I started doing. That's how I came here and stayed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Was the process of going from Zimbabwe to Australia for school, is that like an easy thing to do, or is there a
Um,
lot of challenges, or
I guess as many challenges as you can get as a 18-year-old moving from one country to another country, continent to
because
continent.
that it seems like it'd be huge, right? I mean,
Yeah. I feel
whole
like,
different country, far away, like
yeah, I mean, in retrospect, I'm kind of like, you do what you have to do. So
yeah.
it's one of those things where okay, I'm moving to a new country. Obviously there'll be adjustments to be made. I also
Hmm.
did my last 2 years of high school at a boarding school, so I had kind of moved out of home for those months that you're in boarding school, so that had prepared me in a way to be away from family, like not to be in each other's faces day to day. So that did help.
Right.
And
So it helped
then
with your independence.
exactly, totally. So that definitely helped. And then moving overseas was a matter of, okay, cool, we're getting on a plane this time, not driving to getting in a car and being dropped off at boarding school, getting on a plane. There was a company that actually helped facilitate the moves for a lot of people that were in high school and transition them to university. So they
Okay.
would set you up in terms of like getting into the university accommodation and that kind of thing. So the logistics of it, paper wise, is kind of, you do get help with all of that. And then you land and someone picks you up at the airport and they tell you this is where you're staying and this is where you have to sign up for your courses, and you just get amongst the crowd, and you figure it out, really. You figure it out.
You go in more of an, I guess, for lack of a better term, like academic field with psychology,
Yes.
but you have that arts and crafts sort of in your background and upbringing.
Yeah.
How do you make the decision, or when do you go like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. I want to go this other path. Is there something that happens? Do
Uh,
you just take some
yeah.
courses and you go, I don't really like this stuff? Like what happens?
So for my journey will be obviously unique to me. I finished my undergrad. I did a year of Bible college between. So undergrad was 3 years. I did a year of Bible college because that was something that was interesting to me and something that I really wanted to do. I went back and did a
Mm-hmm.
fourth year of psychology. So the postgraduate diploma, that's what it was called at the time, major in rehab counseling. And then after that, the process of, I guess, getting your permanent residency in Australia is on a points basis. So if that's something that you're trying to do, you have to have enough points basically in the system to qualify to then apply for your permanent residency. And so I needed more points and then pursued another degree in another field to be able to do that because I knew that I wanted to stay in this country. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a politically stable enough time to move back to Zimbabwe. Um, so, so what it meant for me was to pursue further studies so that I could be able to stay in the country. And so in that was probably the tumultuous time of figuring out how am I going to work this? How am I going to be able to stay in this country that I've now grown up in, like adulthood grown up in?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it just meant, okay, doing a couple of degrees, working really hard to be able to be settled in the country. And once I was settled, it was time for me to, again, you do that reassessment of, okay, what do I actually want to do with my life? Because now it's in my hands. I've got the degree, mom's happy, tick. Tick that box, and
Right.
what am I actually going to do long term? So I decided to do this correspondence course in interior design, and I found that I really was passionate about it. It was something that I felt that I could do both with my hands, but obviously thinking analytically how to put things together, how to make things beautiful in a space. And I thought this is something that I can see myself doing in the long term. Um,
Mm.
and that's how that journey started. So it's not something, a lot of people, maybe they decorated their rooms when they were younger. They had that opportunity to put whatever kind of, paint their walls or whatever color that they wanted to when they were younger. That was never my thing. I
Mm-hmm.
was more arts and crafts when I was younger, but grew up into, okay, how do I make a living out of my passion for the arts and crafts? And that's when I transitioned into interior design and styling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so once you had made that decision, that wasn't something you stayed in Australia for. You went to the UK.
No, so
You
I,
said,
I
right?
did the course while I was in Australia, and then decided that I had been here for a long time and wanted to see another place, just have a different experience. So I actually moved to the UK, and started with an internship for an interior design company because I had a connection through the church that I go to. Had a connection with an
Mm-hmm.
interior design company there, so worked with this designer. She then, or interned with her, then she then hired me. So I worked as a junior interior designer for a year, and then decided that I wanted to do something with interior design. The projects are all very long term. So we'd be working on like the same house pretty much the whole year that I was there. We were still looking at the same house, and you're making schedules for, this is the lighting that's going to be in the space. This is the furniture that's going to be in the space, which was all very interesting. But I liked the idea of a more fast paced approach, which you get when you work in, for example, editorial publications. So every month is
Right.
different.
You're
You
like
get
doing a new room, a new house
a
all the
new
time.
room, a new house, just new things being brought in front of you that you get to play with, or the PR companies, approaching you. We've got this new product, we've got this new sofa, all of that. It changes so much faster. And that was more captivating to me rather than we painting the walls again and we're going to change the color of the walls, and I'm like, this is the same room that we've been working on for the past few months. So that's
Yeah.
when I transitioned from more the design side into the styling side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you make that transition? Is it just because you doing any stuff for magazines in the UK, or was
Yes.
that not till you got back to Australia that you started working with magazines and things like
No,
that?
so I was in the UK for 2 years, And in my second year, that's when I started. I interned and worked with a magazine based in the UK. So it was a fairly easy transition, I have to say. I was contacting someone that I found just looking through the magazine, literally, and just contacted them. Back then, I suppose I don't think it would have been Instagram. I can't tell you how, but how I
Hmm.
actually contacted probably would have just been an email, and said I was
Yeah.
interested in interning with them, and they let me come on board, and I was there for like 10 months interning,
Oh, wow.
and working with them. So that was a really good transition. And then actually finding out how the magazines worked, and that month to month issue, and always just having to be really, it was a very fast paced environment in terms of, you contact the PR companies, they send you materials, you're putting pages together, like page edits together of the latest trends. And then, you make the page look really pretty in terms of the different products that you can put together, compile together, and then that goes into the magazine, and you see it in print, and you're like, oh, amazing. Like, that's ideas that came out of my head that are actually have been published and that people are looking at and getting inspiration from. Or sometimes it would be actually being on a house shoot. And again, we decorate the home with different products that we've got from different brands and that kind of thing. And again, you see that in print in a magazine, and you're like, again, you get to be a part of something that actually dictates styling that people outside of the magazine world will look at and appreciate and get ideas from, and actually use in their own homes.
Yeah. I mean, well, I want to get into this because I find this really fascinating, but I'm really curious to know really about how it does all work. What are some of the magazines you've worked for, just to kind of give people an idea, if you
Sure.
can sort of just name off a few?
Yeah. So in London, it was Living Etc. Living ETC,
Hmm.
which is still around now, which is awesome. And then in Australia, I have worked with different brands, whether it's in a freelance styling capacity and also assisting capacity. So Better Homes and Gardens, House and Garden magazine. Um, Now they all disappear. Real Living
Home
magazine, Inside
Beautiful.
Out magazine as well. So there's a few country style
Hmm.
magazine that I've worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So, yeah, I'm curious to know how this process works. So,
Yeah.
do you get like a brief, a theme that says, we're going to be doing, I don't know, some trend, some
Yeah.
style? Like, do you get the brief and then they say, okay, you go put this together and we just trust you to
Yeah.
put it all together?
Pretty,
Or
pretty
like
much.
how exactly does that work in terms of like you're creating these scenes? How much freedom do you have?
Yeah.
How much do you have to follow a brief? Because I found it really interesting what you just said. You said how you're putting these scenes together and people outside the magazine world are taking all this stuff in. And I almost find that a very humble statement because um, while technically you're working for the magazines,
Yes.
um, either the effect that you're having is like on the entire interior design community, like all over. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're in some ways you're a tastemaker if that's how it's going. If the stuff that's coming out of your mind and your style is going into these magazines, and that's sort of what everybody's going to be looking at and paying
Yeah.
attention to, you're really sort of setting the trends in a lot of ways.
In a way, yeah, that's what the magazines are there for, is to set to set the trends, to dictate the direction that I guess the whole interior design sphere goes. And so
Yeah.
with each
So how much
magazine,
freedom do you have for that?
so the freedom that I would have is basically like selecting the products that would go into the particular set that we're building. So especially because I'm an editorial, so each magazine will have a brief, and for each month even we have a brief to fit within. So it might be a
Hmm.
different theme. So it might be bathrooms, for example, is one issue, and then kitchens is the next issue, or outdoor entertaining is the next one. So that is I guess the banner of the brief. And then we're trying to, the editor and the creative editor will we'll have a chat about what is it that we're trying to achieve. So we're trying to show people how to entertain outdoors, for example. And so it's a matter of looking at what are the products that are out and available now, that people would be able to use, if they were entertaining outdoors. Like, is there new festoon lights or fairy lights that are going to go outside? Is that something that we want to show people how to use in their space? Is it a matter of banquet seating, or are people sitting around the fire? Like, you have to imagine how people going to use their space. And obviously it would be different in Australia as to what it is in the UK. So it's about telling the story for our Australian audience, obviously because that's where I'm based. And so then you just look around at all the different suppliers of products and see what they actually have available and build a story around that. We get inspiration from Pinterest, is always a good source of inspiration, just in terms of visual references of, this is the look that I'm trying to create. And then you can use that as a basis for, this is the kind of thing that I want to show people how they can create in their own spaces within the Australian context.
How do you source for the photo shoots? Are you just looking online, finding, I need to find this type of chair, so I'm going to just look at furniture companies? How do you source for your setups?
It may be online. Well, it's definitely is online, and also just going out to different showrooms and seeing what's available.
So you go to showrooms.
Yeah. So going to see, sometimes it's very different looking at stuff online to seeing it in your face, like in front of you, especially size wise. Sometimes you think, oh, okay, it'll fit this way, it'll look like this. But when you actually see it in person, it tells a different story. So sometimes, majority of the time it will be online, but also just even walking past the shop, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful vase. And I would like to put it in this particular set. And I know once I've got that brief, for example, from the editor, I know, okay, if I'm building a living room set, I'll have obviously the sofa, there'll be a coffee table, there'll be a rug, there'll be artwork, there'll be side tables. And then you're actively thinking, what am I putting on that side table? Is there a lamp? Is there a stack of books? Is there a little teacup and saucer? And so every time you're online, you're kind of looking for that right thing to fill that gap for the brief that you've created and for the scene that you want to create for the print mag.
And you're in Sydney, right?
I'm in Sydney, yeah.
So are there any sort of go-to showrooms that you like to go to? Are there any sort of favorites that you have that you're sort of repeatedly pulling from?
Going to? Well, we have in Sydney, we've got like the Supercentre. There's the Moore Park or Kensington Supercentre that has a lot of, it's like a homewares hub and furniture hub mall. So somewhere like that would be is an easy place to go to, especially if you're based in the city. Beautiful stores in there. Freedom, Provincial Home Living are some of my favorite stores. King Living as well. There's a lot of different things. It really depends on what is the brief, what's the style of the products that we're trying to get, whether it's really modern or more that French provincial look, shabby chic. It depends on what it is that I'm looking for, that I'll know different places to target. And then of course there's the smaller, more eclectic, I guess, stores that are on the high street. And so they might have like a ceramic store, like DEA store, which has beautiful ceramics, and a different art gallery as well, different art galleries that you'd go to, and you know that they are happy to loan as well, because that's the main thing working in editorial is finding a place that's happy to loan you the product to be featured in the magazine. And that's we take it pretty much from there. So we could be anywhere. It could be in a really big, well-known store to a smaller boutique, little curio store, just to find the right piece. It just depends on the brief, depends on the timing as well, how much time you have to prepare before the shoot. Again, because it is month-to-month issue, a monthly issue, the pace is really quick. So
Yeah.
that's why sometimes it's not as easy to get into a showroom to look for things, and therefore you are looking at a lot of stuff online as well.
Yeah. I would imagine that could be a stressful part of your job because there are so many very hard deadlines.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I can imagine it being completely fun because you're kind of just, at least a part of your job is to shop. Like
Yes.
you're literally just shopping for cool things.
Shopping for cool things, and also like PR companies, marketing companies will also send you we get a lot of emails saying, we've got this new product that's come out. Is it something that you would like to use on a shoot? Is there something that would suit the
Hmm.
particular shoot that you're working on? So it's always good to, like I said, to see new products, you're like right at the forefront of things before they've even been released, I guess, to the public, to
Yeah.
see different kinds of things. So I do love that part of the job for sure. It is fast paced. So yes, it can get a bit stressful when you're trying to look for the right thing sometimes when it's not in season. So for example,
Yeah.
we're starting to work on Christmas shoots. So it
Hmm.
means that, trying to find all these beautiful decorations to tell that Christmas story, and it may be
4
different
months
for
out.
exactly. And you're like, we're still in September, so it's a matter
Yeah.
of getting to the suppliers that have obviously already started planning forward, and hopefully they have some stock of their Christmas ornaments already out and ready for us to start shooting, so that all of those images are ready for the Christmas publications that come out well before Christmas.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess it's pretty cool if you're getting um, a sneak peek and look at new things that are not even available to the public yet. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool to have that sort of insight into the future, kind of.
Yes. Yeah.
But I imagine at the same time, you're probably getting hounded by PR companies that want you to use their stuff to put it in the magazine.
I don't want to say hounded,
So,
but yeah, approached
uh,
approached quite frequently. Yes, for sure. I mean,
yeah,
it's nice for them to be able to share their product with us,
yeah,
and to entrust us to actually make it look beautiful. Like they know we're gonna put it out, into the world for the greater audience, and to make it look beautiful. So I think it's a great collaboration between Stylist, the magazine, and the brands to be able to
hmm,
offer something to the audience at large, that they actually need, that they actually want, and show them how to use it well in a space.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of collaboration, I was really curious to know when you're on a set, because sometimes these things must take place in a studio, right? Or
Yes.
they always
Very
are,
often in a
right? Some
studio.
of them are
Yeah.
in a studio, so you're sort of setting up the whole thing. It's not necessarily in an actual house or something.
Yes.
Um, what's the collaboration like between you and whoever else is on set, whether it's the photographer or somebody from the magazine that's overseeing it? What is that sort of, how many people are on a set that you're
Yeah.
designing, and what's the sort of, input and collaboration and discussion that goes back and forth between, let's say, you and the magazine or the photographer? How does that all work together?
So usually with the magazines, you'll have gone through, you get the brief, you present back to them what it like the a mood board basically of the
Hmm.
things that you think would work to suit that brief. So that may be, this is the wall color I'm going to use, this is the wallpaper I'm going to use, these are the products that I'm calling in from such and such brands. So that's all already been discussed and approved with the editor, the creative editor as well, before the shoot actually happens. And so once it's approved, then you're actually calling in all of that product. So in a studio environment, for example, you'll have all of the products that you've called in. I would put my mood boards up on a wall so that it's available for myself to see during the shoot, the photographer to see, and we have assistants as well on set to help us actually build the set. So imagine blank canvas, and we're putting in our flats, which are like the fake walls and that kind of thing,
Hmm.
building the room sets. So and then you're building the set. Obviously, you're collaborating with the photographer that this is the view that I'm trying to build for the magazine. This is the shot that so more like the angle that I want it to be shot at. Again, based on those
Hmm.
references that we've started from when we started the Pinterest research right at the beginning. of the process. So in terms of, we discussed the lighting. This is the kind of mood that we're going for. So the photographer would set that up, making sure we're getting the right angles. Obviously, if it's for print, making sure that we've got the right size and dimensions as well of the shot that they're going to be taking. And then you build the set, you build the scene that you've discussed, obviously, with your editors and so forth, and you take a beautiful shot. You build that all together. It will be the stylist, it'll be the assistants. Every bit of the room is being put together. So the flooring, the walls, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
been painted or whether that is actually then putting on the wallpaper, putting in the furniture pieces, putting in the accessories, and you build the scene, you build the set. And hopefully get some beautiful photos of it, and then sometimes go in for detail shots. So we've got our pulled back shot, you've got your detail shots, and then you pass that on to the editors, the creative editors, and they approve the shot, make sure that it actually works with the brief that we had set right at the beginning. And once that's approved, you tear everything down and you start again.
Wow.
Introducing Benchmade Modern. Tailored sofas crafted just for you, delivered in as little as 4 weeks. Create a custom piece that perfectly reflects your style. Choose from our collection of designs from timeless to modern. Customize the size, then personalize with your ideal fabric, cushion, and leg style. Discover your dream sofa today.
What sort of role does wallpaper play? Because you use wallpaper quite a bit, I noticed.
Yeah.
What sort of like is it sort of like because Australia is sort of an interesting place. It seems to be not as much as like in the UK or the US, that seems to be embraces wallpaper a lot more.
Okay.
I think, than maybe Australia. So is it? Do you find that it's sort of like a reoccurring thing that you try to use in your setups and in your styling?
Yeah. Again, depending on what the brief is. I do love to use wallpaper because it's an instant transformation, similar to choosing a completely new wall color, a paint color for your room. Wallpaper does it, but it's a dramatic difference that is also it just makes it different from wallpaper, from the uniformity, I guess, of one color on a wall. You can tell a different story with wallpaper. And so, for example, if we just had a floral issue with Better Homes and Gardens that I styled for. So it was a matter of finding the right wallpapers with that sort of floral theme to fit the brief that I was given. So styling for a bedroom, styling for a living room. And of course, if you wanted to use paint, you could do like murals and like actually paint on the wall, but wallpaper is so much more impactful because it's already there. Like the design is already there. And it is way more effective, I think, in terms of telling its own story and setting its own mood compared to using paint.
Now, you'd mentioned that you send the images and things to the editor, and then they decide, and then if it's all good, you tear everything down.
Yes.
What sort of timeline is it from like, okay, let's say the brief that they sent you, or your mood board or whatever is approved.
Yeah.
And shoot is on day one, or like, is it a multiple day thing where you're set like between setup and photography and all that kind of stuff? How many days is one set typically set up before it's
all in one day
taken down?
All in one day.
All in one day.
All in one day. Yeah. So
okay, so the editor is getting back to you right away, and
yeah, pretty much. So on set. So even sometimes we'll call the creative director down, so they'll come down on set. And actually have a look at the shot and say, oh, maybe we need to change angles. Maybe we don't want a particular thing. Don't want that vase in that spot on the coffee table. So we'll move things around and get the approval straight away. So usually, like from getting your brief to calling all of the products in to the actual shoot day, maybe a couple of weeks. maybe 3 weeks at the most. Just depends on different publications how they work. And then once you've built the set, you take the shot, you send that through to the creative director within the hour. Really, you want to make sure that you've
Oh, wow.
got the, if like usually sooner, the hours the max I would wait for approvals. If it's for magazine publication, if it's for brands, obviously that is different because you could possibly take all of your shots and then send them a compilation of everything right at the end of the shoot. But
Mhm.
if you're in-house with magazines, it's generally get the approval, tear everything down, and then you're moving on to the next set to build it. So that you can get at least 4 larger scale shots, 3 to 4 done in the same day.
What? So 3 or 4 like different scenes
Yes.
in one day?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I just figured when you were talking about how you had people that would actually be doing like the building of the set, like I guess if there's woodwork or flooring or whatever needs to be sort of put in, I
Yeah.
thought maybe that would take quite a long time, like over days. But this is all happening
No,
in
this is all
a
happening.
single
This is all happening
day.
in a single day. Yeah. So there's a lot.
Wow.
There's a lot of Photoshop that may happen after the shoot, obviously, just to make it look
Mhm.
perfect and to make it look real. But because it's all in a
Right.
studio setting, we do have ways to work easier. So it's not necessarily, you know, putting in floorboards the same way that you would do it in a home. It's
Right.
there's like flooring rolls, the flats that are the walls that come together to make the walls are obviously easier to maneuver. Not easy, but easier to maneuver than actually being in a house and building those sets. So everything has to happen at a much faster pace. So we have ways to make it look real, but it is on set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for wallpaper, are you actually pasting it on the wall or are you just like taping and
Usually we use tape. We use
okay.
double-sided tape, or
Yeah.
sometimes you have obviously peel and stick wallpapers as well. So it just depends
Hmm.
on the wallpaper, but primarily it's tape, double-sided tape, and get it on the wall. Make sure it looks as flat and as smooth as
Flat.
possible, and then you
Yeah.
build on top of that.
I always wondered about that. I was like, are they really installing this whole thing? And
Yeah, not
all right.
not pasting the whole wall, because that would obviously then
Okay.
take longer to remove and start again for sure.
Yeah. Do you have a preference between working in the studio where I guess you have so much control and working like on site somewhere?
I think it
Whether
depends
it's,
on what's required of you, how many shots that you want to get. I love doing both. Like going on a house shoot, you get to see again beautiful homes and how someone else has actually built this home, and then you get to put in those finishing touches, all the decorating touches. So we bring cushions and throws and the vases and the flowers, and actually show people how to again make their space look beautiful.
hmm
Or rather more beautiful, just to accent the beauty that's already within the home. A lot of people would then be like, oh, why did you put that vase there like that? And because I'm looking at it from the lens of the photographer, like looking at it in that perspective as opposed to living in the space, it is very different taking a photo for a publication than it is. You wouldn't style it the same way necessarily if that's how you were using it in the lived in space.
hmm
So yeah, so it is good to be on both. I think on both things, to shoot in studio. Sometimes you don't want to be outside, obviously, when the weather's not great. So it's nice to be in
hmm
studio because you do have more control, and you can control the lighting and that kind of thing in the way that you need to. But also being on set, being in a home is really nice to collaborate with homeowners and just and make their space look beautiful and make them appreciate the things that they have in a different kind of way, and show them how to use the things that they have in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I just had a couple more questions before
Sure.
we wrap this up. I wanted to ask you about. I just saw the I guess the proofs or the PDFs of the October issue of Home Beautiful
Okay.
that you styled.
Yes.
I
Which one
believe
did
you
you
styled.
see? The
It's the one that said it's called the main feature is 100 years celebrating a century
Yes,
of
yeah.
Australian homes.
Yeah, so for Home Beautiful, I did have that opportunity to just style, and we did design through the decades. So it was just the story of we have the reference image from an each well, a reference image that's come from each decade. And so we've
Mm-hmm.
been around obviously 100 years. So the editors gave me those references and said, "Hey, can you build these sets based on the 1950s, 60s, 70s, right up to now?" And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a beautiful project to work on. Really great opportunity to work on that and build those sets and to bring the contemporary side to show in a contemporary way how we can style, but based on those references from decades ago.
Yeah, so you can see there that's the cover of the magazine.
That's the cover of the magazine. Yeah. So that was styled. That's another stylist project. That's an actual home.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an actual home. So that's just the cover that we've that they chose, rather, Home Beautiful, for the 100-year anniversary issue, and then my styling is the other PDFs that you'll have on the inside.
Yeah, so you go through all the different decades.
Yeah, so you've got the little
1920s.
reference there, yeah, of what that. So those were the actual covers from those decades, which is pretty amazing. That we've got those references in
Oh, I
there.
see the cover on the right shows like what their cover in that decade
Yeah,
was.
so in the 1930s, that was the cover. So it's got like that bathroom scene there with the green tiled wall and the yellow bath and everything. So it was taking that inspiration from that and making it contemporary, which is what I've done on the
Oh,
left side.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
same there
amazing.
as well. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a beautiful story to tell and to be a part of.
Did you have a favorite that you were worked on among all
Um,
these different
if you go to
decades?
I love this one. I love the playroom. I think that's a beautiful room, and also the outdoor set, which will come up.
That's very stunning.
Yes, beautiful King sofa,
1970s.
1970s, and then you've got the 1970s sofa from King Living. Just that moody, living space, lush,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful marble table from Tritt House there,
1980s.
1980s. So again, yeah, you can see the dining room setting in the initial inspiration image on the left, and then just replicating that, but for a more contemporary feel.
You did a beautiful job on this.
Thank you. So I love
So
this
you
one.
did all these. Did you do every decade?
Yeah. So what did we? I think we've got up to 2010. Is where we went up to.
But you were the stylist for this whole series
Yeah.
here?
So that whole story. Yeah, that whole series. I was the stylist for that.
Wow. Amazing.
So it's yeah. Thank you. It was a beautiful. That's what I mean. It was an awesome opportunity to be a part of that story. To have those images published of, again, work that I've done, and I've worked with the girls at Home Beautiful for many years. But yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a beautiful opportunity to be part of telling that story and showing people, if you love the 1950s, this is how you can make it happen, but with the current products that we have now available.
That's awesome. So if someone wants to pick up the October 2025 issue of Home Beautiful, they can see your work
Absolutely, yeah.
as just one example of your work.
One
I'm sure
example
you've
of my
got
work.
one example.
I'm everywhere. I try to
Uh,
try to work with different people. Just it's good for me. It's fun for me to work with different people because the briefs will come differently. What it is that they're trying to do, the story that they're trying to tell, will be different for different publications and different editors,
mhm.
different brands as well. So it's always fun to work with different people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a couple other questions. So I did want to ask you a little bit more about your artwork that I saw on your website. So not only are you creatively styling things, you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, you talked about how when you get time,
Yes.
you like to create some of your own artwork. So tell me a little bit about that and what the inspiration is for that.
Yeah. So I suppose I would call myself an aspiring. I don't know if it's aspiring is the right word, but yeah, I'm growing in my art practice, and
Okay.
developing in my art practice. So not amateur, but not professional, if that makes sense. And
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy just working with acrylic paints, specifically acrylic paint, and in the abstract art realm. And so, depending, I'm not sure which thing you looked at specifically, but I do have a couple of different styles. So, more free form artwork where it's just a lot of color clashing, just telling, I guess, a story of it can look quite wild, it can look quite untamed, but I feel like that's a part of my personality that I love to express with paint, because you can't really do that too much without, like in the outside world, without looking
Mm-hmm.
too crazy. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's a story of like different emotions and different passions, and how they would come together on a canvas. And so that is the mix of colors, the mix of textures, the mix of different materials, because I'll use acrylic paints and also oil pastel as well to kind of highlight different things on a canvas. So I paint mainly on
Yeah.
canvas, but also on paper as well. And I have sold some of my artwork. I've been in a few different art exhibits as well, and had the opportunity to have people come up and tell me also their interpretation of my artwork, which is also a beautiful experience, when
Mm-hmm.
people are captivated by something that you've created and that's literally um,
Yeah.
come out of you and onto nothing, onto a blank canvas, and it resonates with them. I think that's a very beautiful experience. So it's a unique experience, in a different way to interior styling, in a different way to styling those sets. It's because it's there's no reference necessarily for it. It's completely from nothing, and it's just an outpouring, I guess, of what you've got inside of you onto a
Yeah.
canvas. Yeah,
So would you refer to it as abstract
I would refer
in
to it
terms of
as,
the style?
yeah, I would say it's abstract, because it's not it like, I know what I'm trying to
Not
say through
objects
it, but
or.
it's not an
Mm-hmm.
object. Yeah, it's not it's not a study necessarily on a particular thing that I'm looking at in front of me. It is just um it is, yeah, just an outpouring of something that might be in my mind, and I depict it one way, but again, someone else may come and look at it and see something else, and it's artwork, so it is completely up for interpretation, however way you want to see it. It's
Mm-hmm.
very personal, it's very subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the final question we always ask our guests that come on the podcast, we always ask them one final question, and you answer this in any way you want to answer it.
Yes.
What is it? What keeps you creative?
Hmm. A passion for creating things out of nothing, a passion for bringing to life something that may look really simple and really minimal, but giving it a new life in a new environment. So, whether that is within the interior styling realm, or whether that is in my art practice as well, just giving new life to a canvas, or giving new life to a room, um, and being able to be a part of that. And it's not just giving life to that thing, but also to see it appreciated in a different way, to see a homeowner look at a room in a completely different way because I put the artwork here instead of there, or I brought in a particular piece that resonates with them, and for them to appreciate that in a new way, in a fresh way. Um, I think that's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful gift to be able to give people. And yeah, it warms my heart, basically, to be able to do that for people.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Chris.
I'll put your information if anybody wants to check out your art. I'll put that in the show notes
Sure.
and under the video on YouTube, so people can click there. Is there anywhere else that people should go to see your work, or on Instagram or
Yeah,
anywhere like
the
that?
Instagram handles will have the most current work on there. I try to keep that updated as much as I can, but yeah, it would be Instagram, or the websites would be the best place to go.
Okay. Do you post images of the rooms you style as well
Yes,
on your Instagram?
yes, I do. Yeah, so those
Okay.
will all be there, and then it'll say whether it's in whatever publication it's in, as well. I'll tag that, so if they want to actually pick up the print magazine, they can do that as well.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, like I said, that October 2025 Home Beautiful's got that through the decades. It's really, really neat.
It's a beautiful.
So yeah, I'll put your social media in the show notes as well, so
Amazing.
people can click on that to check it out and see what you're up to.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me again today. I really appreciate your time. It was really, yeah, I had so many questions, and I was really curious to know all about how you do what you do. So appreciate you joining us.
Cheers. Thanks, Chris. See you.